Thanks very much, Chair, and thank you to the Phytosanitary Service of the Lombardy region and also the Italian National Plant Protection Organization for their kind invitation to this important event. We're very pleased to see how activities in Italy are rolling up with over 200 events taking place in different regions. So I think this is a good sign of the engagement of Italian authorities into celebrating the International Year of Plant Health. So thank you for that. I do have a few slides that I would like to introduce to you. So if those could be started. Now, my intervention today will focus on three key issues. First of all, I'll introduce briefly on the concept of and importance of the impact of plant pests and diseases at the global level. I will then touch upon the role of the International Plant Protection Convention to tackle these issues. And finally, I will mention the ongoing activities at the global level for the International Year of Plant Health. Next, please. Now, this is the operating environment we find ourselves in, the UN 2030 agenda. Back in 2015, the UN member states and also a series of stakeholders at the global level decided to have to engage in achieving certain goals, 17 of them in particular, in order to sustain life on Earth and have an ambitious agenda for the following 15 years. We're now in 2020, and we're trying to get into the further implementation phase of these SDGs. I highlighted here some of them that are the direct responsibility of FAO as an organization. So you can see here how SDG 2 on zero hunger reflects actually the mission of FAO. But also if you click on the next bubbles, you will see how the work of FAO and the IPPC actually do contribute to a series of other SDGs which are relevant for example, sustainable consumption and production, SDG 12, but also climate action, SDG 13, and finally, life on land, which is the SDG relating to biodiversity conservation, which is SDG 15. Naturally, all of these ambitious goals can only be attained by working together collaboratively at all levels, and hence the importance of SDG 17. Now, if you click on the next slide, I would like to introduce some statistics and numbers that tell us about a bit the impact that plant pests and diseases have at the global level. So FAO estimates, as it has been recalled by the Italian MPPO, that around 20 to 40% of cultivated crops are lost annually due to plant pests and diseases. And this results in annual global losses of approximately $220 billion US. So hence you can see the impact that this has on global food security. The second point that I would like to highlight relates to the impacts of climate change. Now, FAO and the IPPC are currently conducting a study at the global level on the impacts of climate change on plant health. What we have been observing over the past years is that more and different pest varieties are becoming established and are present earlier in the year, and also they are introduced to new areas, which obviously has an effect or impact on plant health. One other important factor relates to biodiversity. According to the global outlook of IPPES, which is the technical organization dealing with biodiversity-related matters, plant pests and diseases as invasive alien species are considered as one of the 5 key factors for biodiversity loss. Now, when it comes to pests and diseases, the average person may have listened to to news or read about some of the key pests and diseases in their area. But at the global level, I would like to just make 4 examples that are just illustrative of the work that the FAO is doing in order to tackle these challenges. So first of all, I presented here 2 pests and 2 diseases. So the first one being Spodoptera frugiperda, or fall armyworm in the English common name, which is basically a transboundary insect which has a very high potential for rapid spread, and which is native to the Americas, but it has actually spread throughout the entire Africa, Asia, and now Southwest Pacific. And so this is a very, very destructive pest of various hosts, particularly maize. And you may know that maize production in certain countries in Africa even dropped by 50% due to the impacts of this pest. So something that the FAO is working on very much, and I'm sure we will hear more about it in the next interventions. The second example is Rhynchophorus ferrugineus, which is also known as red palm weevil, which might be known to the public in Italy because of the impacts it has had on palm trees across the Mediterranean coast, including Italy. So this is, again, an insect, a very invasive insect pest, which was originally found in the Gulf region in the 80s and then has spread afterwards throughout the Mediterranean basin. And it's currently present in over 60 countries with very negative effects, especially on palm trees. Actually, 100 million of palm trees have been affected by this pest. And finally, I wish to present 2 examples of diseases. The first one is a bacterium, which also has been mentioned by the Italian MPPO, which is Xylella fastidiosa, which might be known as well by the wider Italian public because of their presence, its presence in the Apulia, in part of the Apulia region in Italy. This is again an emerging disease somehow, which was mainly present in America, but then has spread throughout again the Mediterranean and Iran, and it's attacking over 300 plant species. But among their hosts are certainly the olive tree, which also has implications again on food production and also kind of important cultural heritage that is being somehow affected by the introduction of this pest. And finally, I would like to introduce briefly the Fusarium disease, which has actually been a major limitation on banana production for over a century. This is affecting specifically and very much the production of bananas across different areas of the world. Now, its most recent variety, the tropical race 4, has actually caused recently some severe losses across different regions in the world, including Southeast Asia, and it's now spreading also to Latin America and the Caribbean. So there are a number of measures in place to countering such invasion. Now, if we select the next slide, we may see how the causes for such an increase somehow of the incidence of pests and diseases is due to 2 main factors. One is climate change related. Again, climate change does have an impact on a series of factors, including the pest life cycle, its distribution, and impacts, for example, on plants, but also anthropic activities. So all activities generated by people, which include international trade and movement of people, such as tourism. So if we move to the next, please. I would like to now introduce the second topic of my intervention, which is the relevance and importance in all this discourse on plant health of the International Plant Protection Convention, or IPPC in its English acronym. So what is the mission of this treaty? Well, first of all, this is a convention signed in 1951 and ratified in 1952. So it's one of the oldest conventions in existence relating to food and agriculture, and in particular has the mission to protect the global plant resources from pests while facilitating safe trade. So the IPPC is one of the three sisters, so-called sisters, recognized by the World Trade Organization's SPS agreement, and as such is one of the normative bodies, so standard-setting organizations, recognized at the global level in the field of plant health. So it has a key regulatory function of all that relates plant health globally. The IPPC has currently 184 contracting parties, so it actually covers also almost the entire globe, and is working together very closely with 10 regional plant protection organizations. One of them is hereby represented by Mr. Nico Horn of the EPPO, and also with over 40 international organizations. So this wide network is there to show the relevance of the organization, but also the way that we work with a number of different partners. Now, when it comes to the IPPC, I think one of the guiding documents that will somehow shape the work on plant health over the next decade is the IPPC Strategic Framework 2020-2030. This actually focuses on three key objectives. The first one relating to food security and sustainable agriculture production. The second one dealing with the protection of forests and environment, including biodiversity. And third, the need to facilitate safe trade. So the need to balance the need for trade of plants and plant products while protecting countries from the introduction of dangerous pests and diseases. Obviously, the new strategic framework is very much linked with the SDGs that I mentioned in the beginning, and it includes 8 development agendas that somehow are the strategic direction of the plant health community for the next 10 years. Next, please. Now, among the IPPC core activities are especially 4. One is what I mentioned, the standard setting activity. We have over 100 standards at the global level, which include diagnostic protocols and phytosanitary treatments that need to basically provide harmonized guidance to countries on how to implement the convention and how to set measures that can counter the introduction and spread of pests, while also providing guidance to organizations like the phytosanitary services to establish themselves and operate in the most appropriate and harmonized way. One example that I reported here of this activity is ISPM 15, which is the standard on the international movement of wood packaging material. You may notice that every wooden pallet that is to be traded internationally does have an IPPC mark on it. And this is the direct result of the application or implementation of this IPPC standard that describes the phytosanitary measures needed in order to reduce and minimize the risk of the wooden material actually carrying pests with them. The second key activity of the IPPC is implementation. So in this regard, of course, once adopted, standards and the convention need to be implemented. So the IPPC Secretariat is working again with partners in order to support the implementation of the convention and its standards in many countries. And one specific highlight that I wanted to mention here is the one tool that is the phytosanitary capacity evaluation tool that is applied widely by a number of countries to support the improvement of the phytosanitary services. Another key activity is trade facilitation, and particularly the IPPC e-Phyto solution, which is the direct result of the implementation of one of the IPPC standards, IFPM 12. and basically serves to facilitate and speed up the process of trade across countries of plants and plant products, with the implementation of an online solution to share phytosanitary certificates. And finally, communications and partnerships are also key activities, because the new strategic framework also recognizes the importance of communicating, exchanging information across contracting parties, and ensuring that we work collaboratively with relevant international organizations. Next, please. Now, 2020 has been proclaimed as the International Year of Plant Health. And as recalled by other speakers, according to FAO and the IPPC attach a great importance to such an initiative. And I hereby wish to recollect the quote by the FAO Director General during the launch event of the IYPH, which was held in December last year, that focused on the importance of prevention, and that as with human and animal health, prevention in plant health is better than cure. So on the other hand, much still needs to be done to secure plant health. I think this is a very important message that I wish to recall in this slide. Next, please. Now, I won't spend too much time on the objectives, because I think they have been recalled in previous introductions. However, let me recall how important it is for us to ensure that the wider public is aware of the importance of plant health, but also political decision makers. And hereby, I would like to stress again the importance and provide my acknowledgement of the understanding by the previous speakers of the importance of such a theme for the wider public, and the need also to review legislations, increase resources, share knowledge and expertise and partnerships in the field of plant health. I think this has been done, and it's a much appreciated action. Now, with key initiatives for the IYPH, we're obviously suffering from somehow the impact of COVID-19. However, once the launch event had been taking place in person, we were planning for a series of events throughout 2020, which had to be moved or postponed to a later stage. And one of them is the 15th session of the Commission on Phytosanitary Measures, or CPM 15, which is expected to take place now in March 2021. And the first International Plant Health Conference scheduled to take place at the end of June in Helsinki, Finland. Now, nationally and regionally, many initiatives are taking place. I will just briefly mention the ones organized by the Lombardy region that include the application of the IYPH visual identity on trams, in the Milan train station, and also other venues. An example of the application of the visual identity in the Republic of Korea, for example, with that flag that you see on the top left, which is nothing but the IYPH logo. And finally, the minting of 3 coins to commemorate the year by Italy, Belgium, and Mexico, as well as the issuing of postage stamps now by over 20 countries. So these are all initiatives that are very useful in order to raise awareness of the theme and importance to tackle it. Now, in terms of communication, I would just like to highlight the important work that has been undertaken by FAO and the IPPC in collaboration with the steering committee of the year, which include a series of videos, including a promotional video that we have seen in the beginning of the this event, but also various videos for stakeholders, including for children, and the launch of the human interest stories relating to plant health, as well as several publications inclusive of an activity book for children, for example, and a brochure. We also launched a photo contest and art and drawing competition, so I really welcome your participation to that, and other types of initiatives. In this regard, I would like to highlight the study on the impact of plant health on climate change, which is ongoing, and again, whose outcomes are to be presented next year. The article on nature plants relating to science diplomacy for plant health and highlighting the importance of global phytosanitary research coordination. Some of the regional campaigns that are being undertaken, for example, by EPO with the Don't Risk It campaign, which we would like to make it global, and other initiatives like the FAO Ambassadors Program that is also making some progress now. Finally, I would like to leave you with this call for participation. Everyone can contribute to the activities of the International Year of Plant Health. First of all, by using what has been produced in terms of logos, materials that you can find on our website and also on our Trello board. You can promote and participate in the photo contest and the art and drawing competition for children. You can also be active on social media. We have created certain hashtags, Plant Health and IYPH 2020, as well as Salute delle Piante in Italian. And also you can participate in all activities. Share them with us, the Secretariat of the IYPH, as to be able to share them more widely across various networks. And finally, let me recall how everyone can be a plant health ambassador by getting to know about plant health and also doing more to protect plants. Thank you very much for your attention.